But when you're going into the arts, it's like there can be no other option. And what I mean by that is people, well, you should have a fallback thing. It's like, to go into this business, you have to be so singular-minded and so stubborn and so sure of it and so absolutely fanatical. And even then, it's almost impossible, right? But unless you have that singularness of vision, it's most likely not going to happen. Does that make sense? So, and I don't mean that, if you suck and say, oh, this is all I want to do, that it's going to work out for you. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that the only way it is going to work out for you is if it's like, this is all I'm going to do, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to do whatever I can to make it happen. And that's what I did. And, my dad talked to all of his instructors, and they all shared that information with me. Like, look, this is a tough way of living, and so on and so forth. And I have since given that speech to others, but I do it in a way that's a little different. At the time, I remember talking to this kid, and I remember saying, well, what do you want to do? He's like, well, I just want to play jazz and play jazz for a living. I'm like, well, that's almost an oxymoron, but not that I'm, not as to denigrate the genre, but it's hard. It's hard to make a living playing jazz. That I don't think that is an abrasive statement in any way, shape, or form. So basically what I said was, it's, as I always say, the path is different for everybody, and I'm not bestowing on this is the way it is and not the way it is. I'm just throwing ideas out there. And the idea that I throw out is that you grow up in an upper middle class background, sooner or later, you're going to want those things for your kids, right? It's just the way it is. It's like, I grew up this way and this way and this way. Sooner or later, when I have kids, and I'm like, but don't get me wrong, if you want to be a total bohemian and you end up, I said, sooner or later, you're going to meet a gal. And that gal's going to say, oh, I'm totally supportive of your art. And she might be an artist herself. And you guys might embark on this great voyage of being bohemians and living very lean and doing all the things that artists do and living, in a low budget way so that you can develop your art, and it's going to be fantastic. And that well may happen. Chances are it's not going to be the vibe that is going to be happening. What's going to happen is that sooner or later, it's going to be like, we got no money and this sucks, right? Oh, I'm pregnant. We're going to have a kid. Oh, okay. Well, then it turns into a situation where you need to provide, right? You're going to have to do the things that are necessary to provide a livelihood for the family. And that's not mutually exclusive from enjoying being a jazz musician or whatever genre it may be. It's just that you're going to realize you're going to have to do all kinds of different things in order to make what I like to call grown-up money, which is a level of existence that is consistent with middle-class living, which is having a car, is paying rent, is having a house, mortgage payment, insurance, God forbid, retirement. What's that? Maybe going on a vacation here and there, all those different things. And in doing that, there are ways to do it, but I think what happens is, and I'm always careful to say this to people, is that make sure that you find a way to continue to love music, because if you get into a situation where you become bitter because you can't do what you love, and you see as other people having obstacles, or society having obstacles, or people's ignorance having an obstacle to what you really want to do, and you get very, very bitter, that sucks, and you want to avoid that like the plague, right? But that's what happens to a lot of musicians. They get so bitter because, oh my God, the world is so unfair. I mean, and I fall into it every now and again too. I just have this brand new band that I want to unleash. I go to my hometown. I do all the promo that's necessary. I go on the radio and talk, and all of a sudden, the first night we played, not so great of a turnout. The people that were there dug it. I enjoyed playing, but if you allow yourself, like, you got to be kidding me. In a metropolitan area of 1 million people, I can't get 300 people through the door. Well, what the hell? But it's like, you can't look at it that way. You have to say, I'm in the moment. I'm enjoying what I do. I get to make a living playing my instrument. It's all good. And that's very, very difficult.